Hello, friends. Guess what? Today we're going to talk about Ahimsa. So, Ahimsa is something you might have heard already about in yoga class. It's one of the aspects of the 8 limbs of yoga. Typically, Ahimsa is considered to be known with vegetarianism, but actually Patanjali never talked about vegetarianism, and Ahimsa is really just about non-harming. So there are 3 things that I wanted to share with you today about where I have seen harm being caused at this time. The first one here is complicit behavior. Complicit behavior causes harm. Now, the opposite of being complicit is to be an activist, is to get more into your activism. And one of the ways that I do this is I am anti-capitalist, because to be anti-racist is to be anti-capitalist, which means that instead of doing things for profit, I've decided to put my videos on my YouTube channel. So that way everything is free. I do accept donations to my Venmo at Wellness Warrior SF. But really, I do this not because it's for profit. I simply do this for wanting a better world. And I believe so much in community, and I would love to really create a community of love, of people that are aware and understanding and inclusive. So if there is anything that I do share today that is triggering, so if you feel fight, flight, or freeze, then please take a moment to breathe, to center by feeling the ground, feeling the chair, wherever you're sitting, and just feel that and be in your body. Even putting your right hand, onto your heart is a great way to feel grounding. So what I really want to share specifically about anti-capitalism and social justice when it comes to being complicit is that your actions, our actions as a society, as a collective, matter. So when you spend money, your money is like a vote. Right now we're talking about how important it is to vote. Well, guess what? You've been voting. You vote with your dollar, you vote with your likes. Yep, whoever you're following, whatever you click like on, and where you spend your money means you're voting. And it's a trickle-down effect in the system, because we're in this system. We can't get out of the system, but we can take actions that are going against what the system has been designed for. So one of the specific ways that I choose to spend my money is that I support small business. And I specifically do not support corporations. So, I understand convenience really is important, especially with a lack of time. And if you're avoiding leaving your home, then yes, delivery's convenient, right? So that means shopping on Amazon. And just taking that in, that if that is where you're spending your money, that is who you're supporting. There is somebody who gets your money. Yeah. Now, is that person a BIPOC person? And even if they are they the kind of person with the kind of values that you want to support? Really, really good stuff to think about. So something that I actually do is in my own community, in my own neighborhood, I love to sit down like at the restaurant or at the store and just talk to the people who work there and figure out the owners. Ask, who are the owners? What's their story? What made them open this business? And then that really gives insight to who you're supporting. Actually, on Yelp, and if anyone else has resources on this, please share a comment. On Yelp, there's a feature where you can actually look for Black-owned businesses. So things like that are really helpful. But really, just get involved and care and talk to your community, your neighborhood. Walk out your door and go see what's going on. That's one of the best ways to be actively supporting local Black, Brown, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, people of color businesses and community. All right, so I'm going to just write that for the solution. So we want to write money equals vote, and Black, Brown, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, people of color, local business. Awesome. I'll probably add this in the description too. Okay, so the next one is performative. Oh boy. Especially on social media, it's all we see is performative. How do you really know that person actually is who they are trying to be? How many of you have a friend who acts a certain way in person and acts totally different online, right? All the pictures they're posting of them smiling and looking happy and life is great, and then when you talk to them, they're just angry and negative and critical, you know. It's just like night and day, because guess what? Social media is performative, okay? Everything on social media is performative. Social media is a platform people use to promote themselves, to mostly promote business. That's how it's really supposed to be used. But, you know, other people can use it just to get likes. But guess what? Those likes are votes, right? It's not actually going to make you feel better about yourself. It's just means people are going to see more of what you post when they click your likes. And when you click other people's likes, it means that you're saying that you want to see more of their content. That's all it is. So actually, I just watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, which shares a lot of that kind of insight. It's really great. So how do we combat performative behavior? How do we do this within ourselves? Well, your performance comes from your values. So what are your values? Based on your values, that's how you perform in the world. That's how you are in the world, and if that's how you are in the world, that's how you will be on social media. So first, look at your values. Now, something I really wanted to talk specifically about when it comes to performative is that look at your own tribe, the closest circle you have. Look at your tribe and ask yourself, is it diverse? Because if your tribe is diverse, you get to learn their stories. You get to know your friends, how life was for them to grow up in the body and in the family that they were in. And even asking about their family, the culture of the family that they grew up in, and their life experience. And if the family struggled, if the family has privilege. This is important. We need to know the whole package. We want to know who our friends are on a deep level. We need to know the whole package. So having a diverse tribe is going to help you become decolonized. Because let's remember, we live in a colony, an occupied territory, and we have been colonized in our minds. We see the world from what's in our mind. So in order to not just be performative, but to actually embody social justice, you need to learn the history of colonialism. Start with the, history of colonialism in America, and then you can start going into India, Asia, Africa. There's a lot of information out there. If anyone else here has some great resources for decolonization, history of colonialism, please, oh my gosh, please share. I want them all. I want them all. So yeah, let me write those down. So I feel like it's really helpful when I add it next to the little bullet point here. So diversify your tribe. And decolonize your mind. Okay, got those two there. All right, and then the last one we have is defensive. Oh my gosh, this is the most common that we are seeing. Now, I'm not going to talk about why being defensive is so harmful, because it's just, if you really think about it on a deeper level, why it is so harmful, it can be pretty upsetting, right? Because it's a virus of what's happened to the world, and we've allowed the white supremacy to take over everything we do. It's dripping all over us in our culture, in our place of where we live, everything we see on TV, everything we see in this physical world. So how to combat being defensive? Well, the first thing that needs to be brought up is that defensiveness comes from the idea of duality. So being defensive means that you have a dualistic perspective. And what that means is dualistic is it's either or. It's either good or bad. You're either the victim or you're the perpetrator. You're either nice or you're mean, right? It's like you have to fit into a box. Check a box. Are you good or bad? And that's actually not reality. That's actually the problem with reality is we're stuck in a dualistic point of view. But what we need to move towards is non-duality, because that is the truth. Okay? The truth is we are both. We are both. We are both good and bad. We are both the victim and the perpetrator. Because guess what? Slavery still exists. And that's how you got that cobalt in your smartphone. Was from slaves. So you are still perpetrating slavery. I have a smartphone. I know what I'm doing. I'm so aware of the harm in that way. But yet we're in a system that is dripping with this culture. We cannot step away. We can create our own independence through our activism, okay? And through our decolonization. And then through this understanding that it's non-duality. No more dualistic. Get that mindset out of there. So this is what I do, what I've been doing, what I have to do all the time to work through the dualistic point of view and to move into non-duality. So one of my blocks, and I'm going to say here, we have to remove our blocks. Blocks are what gets us in the way of our light. Blocks get us away from our true law of one, our true understanding of non-duality. So my personal block is judgment and competitiveness. So I am really working on this in myself to work through when these things arise. And it really is a lot of that self-inquiry. And the other part is affirmations. So having affirmations of who I want to be in the world. Okay? Who I want to be in the world. So we've got remove blocks, and that take us away from being non-duality, and affirmations. So I want to share with you my favorite affirmation. I say this to myself out loud every morning. I'm probably going to need to start singing it out loud because I'm working on my throat chakra, so singing is good for that. Here's my affirmation that I'd like to share with you, and please feel free to take this and write this down and put it on a post-it up on your mirror when you brush your teeth or before you leave the house, on the door. All right, so this is my affirmation. I believe in myself, and I have support from my community. I believe in myself, and I have support from my community. So whenever the self-judgment comes up, the competitiveness that comes up for me when I see myself compared to others, I remember this affirmation. And I hold it close, and I embody it, and I feel it, and I let it absorb. So I really hope that this was helpful for you. Again, I just want to recap Ahimsa. So Ahimsa is non-harming, the ways that we can help reduce harm in the world is through changing complicit behavior, learning that your money is your vote, choosing to spend your money to who you want to support, supporting Black, Brown, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander people of color, their local business or, organizations. Performative. So to combat performative behavior means to diversify your tribe, get to know other people's cultures, get to know their stories, read about their history, learn about the history of colonialism, and then decolonize your mind. That's how you do it. It'll become through your knowledge of the history. Okay? And then defensiveness. Okay? So combating defensive behavior, getting rid of the idea of duality and moving to a place of non-duality. Ways that I do this is I work on removing my blocks. So this is actually something that I consistently work through on my own resources. And affirmations. So I shared my favorite affirmation with you today. I hope that something resonated with you, and please leave a comment about resources that you're using that have been helpful for you to help to decolonize, and even like your affirmations. I would love to know what you're doing in that regard. So I love you all, and I am so grateful to be here and to be in community with you. So please take it easy on yourself. Remember that life happens for us, not to us. I feel that there is a great change coming. This is just the beginning. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Namaste.